What's up, people? It is your man Jack Gill Podcast Show, my sports hour. Be talking about NBA. What do you think about it? How has it been going for you? Is your team winning or what? Let's talk about it. What's up, folks? It's your man Jack Gill Podcast Show, my sports hour, the NBA. What do you think about what's been going on? I have been so surprised. We're not really surprised, but just basically understanding what's going on. I love what has been going on. Some tremendous games. I think the Denver series that everyone was so ready to crown the Lakers as a champion just because they made it to the play-in part of the playoffs, and then they had to face the Denver Nuggets. But everyone, and this is my point with that series, I don't know why people think that a team that stayed at 9th and 10th seed, struggled to be in the 9th and 10th seed all year, was going to turn it around and beat the defending champions. They have lost to that team, what was it, 9 straight times before the series started? So what made you think a team that was fighting for a play-in spot was going to change and turn it on and become so respectful to beat the Denver Nuggets? I understand about matchups, the matchup problem that the Nuggets opposed to the Lakers. You have your LeBron James, you have your Anthony Davis, and you have your D'Angelo Russell that plays sparingly. I mean, they saw that movie before with D'Lo. So I don't understand why all of a sudden we finna turn it on and we finna beat the Nuggets, who has our number. So much for that. And then on top of that, you fire your coach. I think there was some hard-fought games in that series. I think a couple of shots made here or there. Maybe the Lakers could have won a couple of games. But you got 2 top 75 players, which I only think one is, but you got 2. And we couldn't get over the hump, or they couldn't get over the hump. LeBron had a wide open 3 that he clanked, right? So who to blame there? Is that the coach's fault? Was that the coach's fault? I don't think it was. So I would get back to the Lakers and their struggles and the problems that they pose, that they have a uncoachable team or player. But I want to talk about the Knicks and the Sixers series. Man, Tobias Harris, come on, man. You scored as many points as I scored. 0. Sitting down watching you play. And I guarantee you making between 25 and 30 million a year. And you mean to tell me you couldn't give us 10 points? I would even take 8 that could have changed some kind of aspect of that game. Joel Embiid played his heart out. He did what he could. I think the man was still hurt. On some occasions, you saw him limping or, grabbing a side of his body. I think he's having some kind of issues with that. I think he openly talked about it, those little mini strokes that's happening to him. But kudos to him and Maxey, who came to play. I just wish Maxey can kind of slow himself down a little bit. I understand he wants to get to the basket quick as he can, draw a foul or even make the layup. But playoff basketball, most of the time that doesn't come your way. And sometimes you have to step back and say, okay, we got a 6-point lead. Let me just run a little clock. Let's run a set play. Sometimes we have to do that. I think they went to Embiid too often. And these young men now are smarter, quicker, and faster they understand what's going on or what you are trying to do to them. Shout out to the Knicks. The Knicks came to play. I will give Mr. Thibodeau credit because I didn't think he was that good of a coach. I think it was just sometimes circumstances and players that he had in the old Bull days with Derrick Rose. But the three young men that I thought that stood out was Hart, Brunson, and I forget the other kid name that was shooting the threes, but they all played together on the college level. And they actually, it came to fruition, right? You saw the continuity between those guys. And Mr. Brunson, I think you are an awesome player. Keep up that good work that you're going, that drive, the heart that you showed to keep wanting to win. You refuse to let your team lose. Keep up the good work. That was an awesome series. Appreciated those games. Appreciate the Embiid, the Maxes of the world, Bronsons, the Hart, and the Knicks and the Sixers. That was a great series. The Indiana-Milwaukee series, of course, we all know the idea of that series and how that turned out. Milwaukee, you have a dominant player that didn't play at all. You have another decent kind of over the great player in Dame Dollar, who, he's not a defensive player. He basically gives you offense, and that's about it. I think I had that discussion with my son early in the year when the trade was made for him and Drew, and I said the Bucks did themselves a disservice by getting just a score. And if he doesn't score, you don't have anything else with Dame Dollar. They fought hard, but Brooke Lopez or Bobby and Pat Beverly, they're not going to give you that scoring to keep up with the Pacers, who likes to run their fast offense. They're not a great defensive team, but they do score a lot of points. And that's going to be shown in this next series. They have New York. But Giannis, you have to get yourself together to play. Whatever reason you didn't play, I don't know. And I find it kind of amazing how all these guys that call themselves, or let's just say our fans, the media, put on the pedestal as a superstar, they always hurt. When times for us to play big games, they always hurt for whatever reason. Is it because of the 82 game schedule that they play? But why is it always the superstars that are hurt? So also the Celtics move on, beating the Miami Heat in 5 games, 4-1. That's what I was thinking in my mind. I'm thinking ahead. Beat them at 4-1. So it's pretty much of a dominant series for them. They had the one game where the Heat came out pretty hot, stayed hot, and they won that particular game. They was hitting a bunch of threes, and it was a great series. So it's not too much to say about that. Their test will come this upcoming second round series against the Cavaliers, who beat the Orlando Magic, who I thought was a great game. It was pretty good. The first half was pretty dominated by the Magic, although at the middle part of the second quarter, the Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell, came back and showed him who he was. Showed him he's still a dominant player. He's one of the great players in the league. And Orlando has nothing to hold their head down for. Their young team, first time in the playoff with all those young guys. They ought to be a team to reckon with here in the future. I really enjoy their team. They're big, they're athletic, and they will understand next year how to close off these kind of games. It's kind of tough playing in the Game 7 in your first go-around and playing on the road in Game 7. There's nothing easy about it. So kudos to the Orlando Magic. Kudos to the Cavaliers. You guys have moved forward. So it would be the Boston Celtics against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks against the Indiana Pacers. And I will give my prediction on this, the Eastern Conference playoffs. I think the Knicks will beat the Pacers 4-2. As I said before, Brunson refused to lose. He's carried his team. They are pretty solid. They playing great defense. They are moving their offense around, he's getting people open. If he has to go off for 30, 40 points a game, he does that. If he doesn't need to score that much, he gives his teammates involved. And they are hitting timely shots. So I got the Knicks against the Pacers 4-2. And the reason being is because Indiana is an offensive team. They are more inclined to outscore you than to defend you, defend you. So that's the reason why I have the Knicks. The Knicks play both sides of the ball, where Indiana plays one side. Now they can play defense, but I look for the Knicks to be successful in that series, 4-2. Celtics and Cavaliers. I think the Celtics win this series 4-1. I really truly believe that they have proven all year long that they are a great team. Won a bunch of games, over 60 games, and that says a lot. But the NBA is all about matchups. Now, if Porzingis does not play for the Celtics, it would be a struggle. And not only that, because the Cavaliers have 2-3 guys, big guys that are active. They are active. They can score a little bit, and they are active. That would be the Celtics' downfall if this series is extended past 5 games. That they are not rebounding the basketball, and the Cavaliers bigs are dominating the inside. Although they have Horford, older player, he still plays with being active, right? He's not as active as he once was, but he is an active big, and he can shoot the 3. He can stretch the floor. But I think the Celtics have just too much firepower. You got Tatum, Brown, Young. Those guys are pretty much scorers, and they can score when they get ready. So I got the Celtics 4-1 against the Cavaliers. For the Eastern Conference Finals, it would be the Boston Celtics against the New York Knicks. I think that's going to be an interesting series. Although I know that Brunson for the Knicks refused to lose, I just think the Celtics has too much firepower, and they have the home court advantage. So I will pick this series, that particular series, the Celtics and the Knicks, the Eastern Conference Finals, the Celtics in 6, 4-2, because of the scoring power the Celtics have. I have the Celtics coming out the East, moving to the NBA Finals. On the West side of things, Mavericks and OKC. This is going to be a great, interesting series. Although OKC is the number 1 seed, they are a scoring machine. They run up and down the court, rebound the basketball, assist the basketball, and SGS finish you off. I think they are really a hard team to guard. And it's only because they go 4 strong in individual play, and each one of those guys can get their own shot. They have the 7-foot guy, Holcomb, that will give you a few points, but he'll block some shots, he'll give you rebounds. He will do what you ask him to do. But his job is going to be tough because of the bigs for the Mavericks. Lively and Gafford are active, and they are committed big guys. What I mean by being committed, they don't hold no punches back. If you are in their way when they are going for a basket, they will run you over and dunk on you or push you out the way. They are very active. When the Mavericks made the trade, I was like, uh-oh. Now we got some active bigs with a Kyrie, Dynamite Irving, and Luka is just Luka. Looks like he's going under a mile an hour, right? If that's even possible. Slow as molasses, like the old folks used to say. Take his time. You ain't gonna speed him up. But when you do speed him up, he still produce. He will take a speed up every now and then. He still produce. But I think that the OKC Thunder will beat the Dallas Mavericks. This series might go 7. At the minimum 6. But I have OKC winning that series. Now, the second round series that everyone wanted to see, the Ant-Man against the Joker Man against Murray. The two bigs, Rudy Gobert, Cat Williams. I think that is the problem. The two big men. Jokic is going to have to work. He's going to have to play 45 minutes a game. That is a lot of huffing and puffing against two big guys. They can take turns guarding you. Not only those two guys can take turns guarding you, they also come in with slow-mo. Slow-mo put his body on you a little bit. Then you come in with Reed, the sixth man of the year, that can put some points on the board and can play Jokic. That can bang on him, keep him tired, wear him out. I saw him, I thought I didn't see it, would never see it rather. Jokic gasping for air with all the minutes that he had to play. The minute that he went out the game, how the game just totally turns. If you don't have Jokic on the floor with these big guys, you are in trouble. What about the Ant-Man? What can you say about him? This guy, and I just want to tell him thank you. Thank you for being a dog. And what I mean by being a dog is a guy that don't hold anything back. I don't care who you are. Yeah, I love you as a kid when I was growing up, but now I'm on this court. Now it's my court. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do to win this ball game. I don't care who I got to go through and how I got to go around you, but I'm going to put this ball in this basket. And that's what he did. They have no answer for Anthony Edwards. Now, see, they can control Jamal Murray, but he's not right. I don't think he's right. He didn't play as though he was. And the one thing with him that he cannot have happen, he cannot play a first half without scoring. He has to keep up the scoring to help Joker out. Because if he doesn't do that, they have no chance in this series because Minnesota comes at you in too many ways. You got Cat. You got Gobert defending. You got Anthony Edwards scoring. You got Mike Conley scoring. You got Reed scoring. I forget the other kid name that comes in and gives you another 12, 14 points a game. Is it Mitchell? So Minnesota has the same kind of weapons that Denver does, but I think the problem for them is who's guarding Anthony Edwards. I think Caldwell Pope tried to guard him, but he was just pushing him out the way. He cannot guard him. Gordon has to stay down to guard one of the bigs. Now where you going? That's the problem that Denver's going to have. Proud of this Minnesota team that they stuck together. They didn't get rid of anybody. They was right on the cups last year. And this year, the mindset that they have, along with Denver, don't get me wrong, Denver still has a chance. But I truly believe this would be a 6-game series. Minnesota will beat the Denver Nuggets in 6 games because of their firepower and because of Anthony Edwards. So my pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves against the OKC Thunder. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves, for their size and the guys that can score, will win that series in 6 games. SGS will do his thing. Everybody will do their thing. But I think Minnesota, with their size, leaning on players, beating up players, playing physical, will wear them down in 6 games. And I have Minnesota coming out the West, going to the NBA Finals. That'll be Minnesota Timberwolves against the Boston Celtics. I got the Boston Celtics winning this series in 6 games. I think they will outscore the Timberwolves. They will outscore them, and that's the way they'll win that series, by outscoring them. They will have the 2 bigs in foul trouble because of the way they play offense and attack. They will struggle on the defense end, the Celtics will, but I still have the Celtics outscoring the Minnesota Timberwolves in the NBA Finals this year. They will win it in 6 games, and the Boston Celtics will become NBA champions this year. And that is my take on who I think will be winning the NBA championship. Now, it was a couple of more things that I wanted to get back to, and that was the Lakers situation. And it reminds me of my favorite football team, which is the Dallas Cowboys. I am a die-hard Cowboy fans, and shout out to all the Cowboy fans out there, even the content creators. Shout out to you guys. Man, why are the Lakers always in the news? Why are we always trying to find a way to put the Lakers in the NBA championship series? Why are they always the talk? Because of, is it one, a LeBron James, or who? I just don't understand why we have to keep firing coaches and bowing down to whatever order it is. I don't know who's running it. And I'm gonna say it again. I think my kinfolk, Big Perk, you guys all know him. You see him every day if you watch these 3 and 4 letter networks. That is my kinfolk. He said it best. He's a diva. I'm talking about one, King James. He's a diva. He wants it his way. He doesn't interact into the game scheme. I've seen several videos of him sitting by himself when we are running or drawing a play, and it doesn't make any sense. So I'm not saying that he's the sole problem of the team, but I wish the 3 and 4 letter networks quit making these kids all-stars and superstars and Hall of Fame players before their career is over. Because we don't know. You fit your narrative. You want to make a face of the NBA. It's fine. Thank God for Brunson for the Knicks. Thank God for Ant-Man of Minnesota. Thank God for SGS OKC. Thank God for the Joker. Thank God for DeLuca. Thank God. Younger players that can be your face. We don't have to keep fitting the narrative because LeBron James is playing for the Lakers that we have to show them every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on TV. He's not that guy anymore. He still get his 24-hour game. Kudos to him at 40 years old. But we want these young players to strive. We want these young players to become the face of the NBA's media. Put these guys on there and quit trying to frame a narrative. Because we always have to find players. We always have to find coaches. Whatever team LeBron James go to. Is it always the coach? Is it always the players? Who is it? Last I checked, he's the most dominant ball player for that team. He controls what goes on. And the media, this team stayed in the 9th and 10th seed all year long. They win a play-in game. Now all of a sudden, they supposed to win the NBA championship when you got 8 other teams ahead of them. 8 other teams. The NBA regular season tells you who you are. But I understand it's all about matchups. I do understand it's all about matchups. And maybe everyone was thinking this has to be the year because now we understand how to beat the Denver Nuggets. But they didn't. How you control the game for 3 quarters and don't have an answer in the fourth quarter? Did we run out of gas? Were we running different plays? Did we not get a certain player involved? Whose fault is that? For some reason, the coach can coach for 3.5 quarters, but he can't coach the last 6 minutes of a quarter. Fourth quarter, in other words. So whose fault is that? Sometimes, folks, we have to say the players have to do their thing. You have to be able to finish games. That doesn't always fall on a coach. I can remember in my coaching experience that if I knew we needed a basket, I would call my timeout and I would draw up a play for my players. And they were running to perfection. And I was always asked when I would go to in-season meetings, man, I still haven't figured out that play you always run and you always scored on. Kudos to my brother-in-law for that, Coach Durgan. If you want anyone to draw up your plays and shout out to him, get a hold to him. Now, everything doesn't fall on the coach. He has to draw it up for you, but guess what? You have to execute it. Now, if it breaks down, that's where a so-called our superstar players or different maker players, the LeBron James of the world, right? The Kevin Durant's of the world, the Steph Curry's of the world, can go off script and create their own play and make a basket for us. But you have to make it. So we can't blame coaches for every failure that happens to our organization or team. Sometimes the players have to play. You have to be that difference maker. And if you don't think you have to be, then you should not be considered a superstar in this league. Why do we spend our time and why do the organization spend the money for you and try to get you in that position to become a champion, a superstar player? You have to be able to execute that. And for me, the Lakers had 5 games to execute to win that series. They played well, but at the end of the games, they did not. So why are we blaming the coach when the coach got you out to 20-point leads, 15-point leads, 12-point leads? Now all of a sudden, it's the coach's fault because you get walked down and you lose the ball game. And kudos to the Denver Nuggets. Kudos to them. Defending champion, they were not going out that way. But I don't think they will make it back. As I said earlier, that I think the Timberwolves will beat them in six games. And it will be the Timberwolves advancing to the Western Conference Finals. So we have to quit blaming coaches for every issue that we have. It don't make any sense to me. that we keep blaming coaches. And I done heard this is probably the eighth or ninth coach that LeBron James had through his career. So is it always the coach's fault? And I'm not bashing LeBron. I like LeBron. I just want him to quit all the shenanigans. Play basketball. If a foul's not given to you, go down, run down court, man, and play defense. You guys need to go back and watch some of his films. This guy would stay down court and cry and moan to the referee, and his man the one making a layup. In some instances, he never runs back. He'll turn the ball over and just stand up and look and throw his hands in the air. Like, that's my man. Don't hold your man, hold mine. Who wants to play with a guy like that? Always have an excuse. Great player. He would be in my top 8 players. He would be in my top 8. And if he didn't have all the shenanigans, all the excuses, he'll be in my top 5. But because of the excuses, he's in my top 8. If that make any sense. And the changing of the guard of the National Basketball Association, it has begun. No LeBron, no KD, no Steph Curry, no Paul George, no Kawhi Leonard, no Russell Westbrook, no James Harden. The changing of the guard has started. The Joker, Luka, Kyrie, which he's an older player, but he still got the handles, right? Ant-Man, Cat Williams, all these guys, SGS, the Tatums of the world, the Browns of the world. These guys are doing their thing. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart. These guys are doing their things. Halliburton and his crew. The changing of the guard has started. National media, you guys got to understand that changing of the guard has happened. Now all of your older players will be coming out talking about the things that didn't go right for them, what we need to do to change, what we need to do. You guys want to keep making these super teams. That is the problem. And as you aging together, now the finger pointing starts. I don't want to run that play. The finger pointing start with the aging players. The changing of the guard has started in the NBA. Folks, this is your man Jack Gill, where everything is talked about. I was just talking about my NBA hour, talking about how things have changed. And all our old veteran players, for some reason or another, can't get it done because of the youth movement in the NBA. So, folks, I always like you to like this content, share it, folks, and make a comment on it. Tell me what you think about it. What is your NBA champion this year, and what do you think about the changing of the guard in the NBA? Folks, your man Jack Gill. Remember, don't let anyone tell you that you cannot succeed. You first must love yourself before anyone else can love you. Peace.